Hey guys, welcome to Inspiring Times podcast called Grounded. And today I have somebody right from my own community. Cheers. And we are talking all things, everything, actually. We're going to share stories and how we both got started in business. Yes. Mostly Elizabeth. And then we're just going to kind of roll with it and share all the things that we can think of.
That sounds great.
But before we get started, a few things. We need you. I need you. Me, myself, and I need you to comment, like, subscribe, do all those things that really helps me figure out what's important to you, how I can better deliver that message to you, and keep having some great personalities on here.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Okay, guys, without further ado, I want to welcome and thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Elizabeth. She is all things social media, Instagram strategist, coach. She can do it all.
I don't know about that, but I'll receive some of the social media and the marketing and all the Instagram strategy and all that.
Well, when I got here, we talked to Amy back in March, who was our beekeeper. And I absolutely started falling in love with the women in the Pike Road area.
Yes.
And business savvy. I feel like we need to lift each other up.
Yes.
We need to support each other. We need to dig in and do all the things. And she mentioned your name.
Oh, God, love her.
First thing she said, oh my gosh, have you met Elizabeth? And I said, nope,
no,
not yet. And then about a month later, I was like, I sent out that crazy Instagram message. I was like, okay, you don't know me, but and I've been following you. And would you like to be on the podcast? And you said, yes.
I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, I would be honored.
So
yeah, and then we got to meet.
And we did coffee. And now we're doing mimosas.
Cheers again.
Cheers again.
Woohoo. Good way to start a morning.
Yes, agreed. No better way than with friends, laughter, and mimosas where the corks won't come out of the champagne.
Yes, we'll share that video later.
Later. Okay, Elizabeth.
Yes.
Tell me all things. How did we get started?
Okay.
What that looked like. And I think we don't even hardly talk about the social media part. I think we talk about your story and how that led to what you're passionate about. And that's actually what led you to where you are.
Yes. Okay. So, background, went to Auburn University for public relations, had various jobs in events, creative agency. And then my heart, at probably about 2012, 2013 was for inner city ministry. I promise that we're going somewhere with this. There's a long kind of history with it. So, got very involved with that, realized it didn't feel right not to do that full time. So I found a ministry here in Montgomery that, aligned with exactly what I knew our community needed. They helped. I'll share with it because I still love them. Hope Inspired Ministries.
Yes, I've seen them around.
Yes. So they help adults. They basically give them job training, and help them and equip them to go out to the workforce to get a job and keep a job. So the whole preface behind it was teach a man to fish. And
he can feed his family.
Thank you. I was like, I couldn't. It just went like, thank you. I was like, oh, how am I going to keep going? Thank you. So, yes, thank you. And I swear I've only had like 3 sets of this. So, but anyways, what ended up happening was they hired me on to work with the students. So like the one-on-one coaching, accountability, and I quickly figured out I don't have good boundaries. And that really wasn't where my gifting was. So
but what did you like about that?
What did I like about?
Was it the people?
Oh gosh. I mean, I love the people. I loved it. But the whole thing of like trying to be the person that was had to be firm and like tough. That's not me. I'm the one that wants to love and encourage and just hug you. And sometimes that role required a little bit more tough love.
Right.
And that I just didn't have to give. So they ended up not transferring me, but decided to move me into more of a marketing and events role. Because basically I started doing their social media from nothing and had built it up. And so just a little background story. My mom has owned a small business for 20 years.
So entrepreneurial spirit started at a very young age.
Yes. My grandfather was an entrepreneur. My husband's an entrepreneur. Well, he wasn't my husband at the time, but we'll get to there. Mom has been an entrepreneur. So, but I never thought I would be. That was just not in my scope. So I ended up really getting very what's the word I'm looking for? Just involved with the marketing and the business development and really seeing needs in our business community because I was connecting with local businesses to try to get our students into jobs. And so did these like big event fundraisers. And all of a sudden it was like my husband, he was my boyfriend at the time, now husband, was like, you know what, you really light up when you talk about helping businesses with social media. You really light up with that. And by that point, I'd been in this ministry and like in not just the business, I mean, not just the job, but in ministry for several years. Hadn't taken a break. So I was well on my way to burnout and I didn't realize it.
So around what age?
Okay. So this was when I was 28, 29. Okay.
So burnout was happening quick.
Yes.
Okay.
I'd been doing it since I was about 25. So, anyways, long story short, I had this huge, fundraising event for this nonprofit. And it was one of those things where I wanted to do it because I knew this was a huge opportunity, a new challenge. We did it. It was incredible success. And then it was all of a sudden, like after I did it, it was like, God was like, okay, you're done.
That was your last,
like it was kind of
the final out.
Okay. And I talked to my boss he was so supportive of me. And he was like, take a week off, pray about it. And basically some things lined up that I'd asked God for. And the next week I put in my 2 weeks notice and started my business, and then started out being full-time social media management for small businesses. And, it's so funny because I'm not a quick decision maker.
I understand
at all. But for some reason with this, it was just like, okay, I know it. And here we go. So I did it without having a business plan. I was like, I've got 2 clients. I'm good. Let's just go. And, so that's honestly how it got started. Was I was doing full-time social media management for small businesses. And then a lot happened.
Well, I love the fact that you brought up in there that you did not, people were telling you, oh, you light up. Oh, you really excel in this area. But when it came down to it, it was almost just like done. And I'm the same way. When we move with the military lifestyle, you don't get that luxury of like thinking about it and marinating in it. You really have to move quickly. And sometimes when you're meant to be doing something, boom, it happens.
Right.
All right. We have 2 clients. You, yourself, and yourself.
Me. Yes.
You have 2 clients. What did that look like coming from probably a pretty steady paycheck or salary versus, okay, now we have to make ends meet.
Yeah. So honestly, looking back at this, I really don't remember a lot of this. I just knew I didn't even look at how much money I needed to make per month. It was just like, oh, I have these 2 clients. I'm going to do this. I can do it. But what ended up happening was 5 days later, like I started my business June 12th. I believe this is right. And that was a Monday. And then that Saturday, my then boyfriend proposed to me. And we then went from, boyfriend, girlfriend supporting ourselves to, okay, we're engaged, and we decided to get married in 8 weeks.
Wow. That's a quick time frame.
It's a very quick time frame. And, I had my reasons. And it was, and honestly, if you're from the South, you will understand this. My dad always told me 2 things with a wedding: don't put it on, like, don't do it during football season, and don't have it outdoors on the beach. That was his 2 main criteria.
Oh my gosh, I totally blew one of those. We did it during football season, and my husband, I walked down the aisle and he looks at me and he goes, "We're winning."
So who is we? Who do y'all go for?
We were playing Auburn.
Who are y'all?
Mississippi State.
Okay.
Mississippi State, Auburn, 14 years ago in September. And we won.
Well, that was a sweet gift for y'all, for your wedding.
We digress, but football in the South is a big thing.
My dad's a huge Alabama fan. My mom's a huge Auburn fan. So to align schedules was just going to be too much. And I didn't want to wait, honestly, till December. I was ready to shack up with my husband and do it legally. And so I was like, I'm ready.
You know what? I've always said, if you know, you know, and you are going to change your mind 6,000 times. So you might as well just say, the faster, the better. Do it.
So we did. And that's what we laugh at with us is we go big or we go home. And so
go big we shall.
Yes. And so basically my husband owns his own business, and in the process of all this, like he was like, I'm gonna of course help you out since you're gonna be my wife. So I really didn't have like a ton of focus on income. I was just like, okay, I've just got to keep these clients going just to have a little income to help while we're in this transition. And so it was just a crazy time. So honestly, I don't have a lot of memories as far as like just what it took to do that. But I mean, hindsight looking, like if I was single, I would have probably had to have gotten like a part-time job to help support while I was growing my business. Just because I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know how to go out and get new clients or any of that. So you
brought up the business plan. So several times I have thought, if I just had a business plan, but let's be very honest about a business plan. Unless you know exactly, like you have a storefront, you know exactly that you're selling 16 things of pottery and you know your vendors, it is very difficult to form a business plan when you're an entrepreneur. Because even though you have like this very small niche, the niche, you still don't know exactly what that looks like.
Right.
So forming a business plan is nearly impossible.
I think like for anything on the online space, I don't want to say this because I'm not a business guru by any means, but like
disclaimer.
Yeah, I'm not a business, like just, this is my opinion. If you're in the online space, you don't need that. On like setting up on anything online, you need very little, money to invest, very little, there's very little overhead. However, if you're going to do a brick and mortar and, or you're going to buy, a business or anything where you have to get a loan from the bank, they need to see a business plan.
Absolutely.
So, but if it's just you, I mean, write down your vision of what you want. But I mean, I personally don't think there's.
And that vision is going to continue growing, expanding, evolving, shrinking, evolving.
Yes.
It will.
It will.
So you might say, this is what I want. And then that one client comes in front of you and you're like, oh no, actually, this is the direction that I thought.
Yes. Or this is definitely not the direction that I want to take this. This is not the client I want to work with, but yes.
And all those things. Keep a journal. Maybe a journal is a better idea than a business plan.
Something to where like you're setting something I have not been good at and that I've really tried to work on is really setting goals and casting a vision. And like something my husband said to me the other day, he was like, you're not dreaming big enough. Like you're not going big enough. And I was like, yeah, when you first hear that, you're like, yes, I am. Like, what more do you want me to do? And then I started talking to you. And then I started talking to another potential client, and just y'all dreamed, like y'all kind of put it out there of like what you envisioned. And I was like, I'm not doing that. And it was like, I think about like the present, the now, which is good, but you've got to have that long-term vision to anchor you and to give you something to work towards.
So something that Rachel Hollis, before that,
I feel like we all kind of have to go, yeah.
Before whatever happened.
Yeah.
She really talked about, and I'm sure there's lots of influencers out there that have said the same thing in some capacity. But she's the one that I remember,
Mm-hmm.
said, what does your goal look like?
Mm-hmm.
And now you have to work backwards.
Yep.
So this is the amazing, awesome sauce right here.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have to give yourself steps to get there, which
Right.
means if you work backwards, you can see, okay, take one little piece away and I'm here. Take one little piece away and I'm here. And then you can see, okay, milestones I'm hitting.
Right.
And don't get don't get stuck on those.
Right.
Because you have to be adaptable and
Yes,
a little bit resilient. But
that's the hardest part, is like, it's not going to go exactly like you plan ever. I mean, that's life. I mean, kids, business, any of that. It's not. But yeah, like that is something. And there is something powerful about writing it down. I mean, there is. My husband, honestly, and I'll talk about him a lot because he's been a big influence with what I've done. But he told me, I mean, he's been running his business since he was 22, fresh out of college, or 23, something like that. And I mean, he went from zero, like not making nothing. I mean, and now he's supporting pretty much our family. But he told me, he was like, Elizabeth, 1 year, I just wrote down all of my goals. And I went back at the end of the year and I'd done all of them. And he was like, it's not like I went back and wrote it all the time or checked it, but it was just like, it was just writing it, putting it out there. And I hate to use the word manifesting because I feel like that's a very woo-woo word, but like, it's something
it's
like
if you put it in the universe.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, oh shoot, somebody's heard me say this now.
Yes.
And now I kind of hold myself to this, like, I got to get it done.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm a believer. And so, I mean, but like in scripture, it says, write the vision, like write it. And I mean, God spoke us, the world, into existence. So why wouldn't we do the same things? Like speaking the good into existence, but we can also speak the bad into existence, you know? Right. And so like focusing on like, what are we really looking at and what are we really wanting to accomplish and achieve? And it usually happens.
You know, another great exercise that was thrown out to me. And before we continue with your story, the exercise was write down 100 things, 100.
Oh, okay.
That you want to accomplish, own, whatever, that you do not have presently. Okay. So I start writing. I'm like, I like this. Well, I can't. Of course, you know, like all the big, amazing things come first. Okay. That's like 25 things.
Right.
You're like, oh, shoot. I have like 75 more to go. So then the next 25, you're like, okay, well, I never really thought about like that. Those last 50 are painful in a way that it's really making you think, okay, if this is where I want to be, then I'm going to need this, and this would be a good add-on. So you really have to dig in.
Ooh, I like that.
100 things that you do not currently have that you want to make your life the best life that you could live. It's a really good and trying exercise. It will really make you think.
And you got 100. You got all
that. I made it to 99 and I was like,
well, hey,
and this is my freebie.
Close enough. Yes. There you go.
Here's one for Christopher.
There you go.
He wanted that. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So we have 2 clients. We are just married. Are we just married yet?
Yes. And I want to say by September, I'd brought on a client and it was like a short-term client. And I was so overwhelmed that, like, bless her heart, I'm surprised she still talks to me, but like, it was not ideal. Like I did a little work for her, but like, I just could not follow through. I just didn't know how to manage my time well. I didn't know, like, of course, I always talk about boundaries of what to give and what not to give, and trying to over deliver, and what you're getting paid is, you know, you're not getting compensated for that. So that was, let's say, September, October. I still kept these 2 clients. No, I take that back. I was down to 1 client. I'm very honest. I did not have a good ending with one of the clients. It's all, you know, it's been repaired, but it was just one of those really difficult things. I was stressed.
Overwhelmed.
I was overwhelmed. I was stressed. It's not all their fault. I definitely
new to the business.
New. I mean, and that was probably the hardest and one of the worst parts is like feeling like you disappoint people. And like, and times where I'm like, I'm just not cut out for this. Like maybe I shouldn't be doing this.
What did you do when you had that feeling?
I cried. I probably literally, I mean, my coping skills have come a long way. I probably sat in bed for a day and cried.
That's what happens when you are newly married. You've taken on the household, you're working the job. I cried. Christopher deployed. I just cried.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
So, but now, okay, you just cried, you figured it out. And what would you do now?
Now I mean, I usually take some time to like call it like grieving and let myself like kind of like, oh, it really sucks. Like this is painful. And like, but then like my husband always reminds me, like, if you keep focusing on that, you're not going to, you're missing out on more opportunities to like dive into. And every time a client has like been taken away, it is protection. It is God's protection for my sanity. There was something I didn't get a few months ago, and had I gotten it, it would have limited me to what I could do, to what I'm doing now. And so it hurt in the moment because it felt like rejection, but it's always God's protection. And that's honestly where I go to now. It's like, there's something else out there, but there's something else out there that God has in store that's better than what this opportunity is. So that's kind of where I am now. I still struggle.
I mean, you've found the resilience in the moment.
Yes. I mean, believe me, it was not a pretty journey, and it's still not the most pretty. I'm very emotional, have to catch myself in my emotions, and then ask for a lot of forgiveness to my husband afterwards and come back and start again.
He loves you anyway.
Yes. Thank goodness he loves me. So, but yeah, but it's taken a lot of those moments to get to where I am. And had I not had my husband standing beside me, who was also the business owner, saying, hey, like, this isn't for everybody. Like, this is why people don't succeed a lot, because they quit. And if you want to succeed, you got to keep going. And you're like, oh, like, dang it.
Do you know how much I hate that advice?
So
you just have to keep going. What does it mean? Like, resilience, you adapt to the new door that's open,
and you adjust for the ones that have closed, and just trust. Like, I will say, marriage and raising kids, or raising a child, especially a toddler, has refined me in like incredible ways. That being a business owner has also been a huge part for resiliency for me. You have a kid, you really can't say, you know what, I quit. I mean, I know you can, but
go sit over there.
It's like one of those things where, but like, they're with you for life. And marriage, for the most part, we're committed and we stick this out. But sometimes business, it's easy to say, you know what, I'm done. And there's nothing wrong with pushing pause. And I mean, that's part of my story. There's nothing wrong with taking a step back. There's nothing wrong with taking a break. But what I want to encourage people is, don't quit. You can pivot, you can pause, but don't quit.
So what did your pause look like? My
pause came after, so we got married in August, found out we were pregnant, November 4th. I just remember the day. And side note, we were told several years ago, I was told several years ago, I was not going to be able to easily have kids. They were like, you'll probably need help getting pregnant. So I had told my husband, he was okay. We had honestly mentally prepared to adopt, probably. And so finding out I was pregnant was very unexpected. And, you have this vision for your marriage, like, oh, I want to take 2 years and travel,
all these goals,
and get to know each other and build our businesses. And God was like, nope. Like, you need this child in your life. I mean, we did. The world needed her. We needed her. And so, so basically got pregnant in November, or it was probably October, and then had her in July. And I tried to go back to work in August. And, you're thinking, oh, I can do that. Like, I'll just take her around with me and blah, blah, blah.
She's attached to me. It's no big deal.
But, I mean, just like most new moms, I lost my shit, you know?
I mean, straight
It's
up.
okay. I can cuss, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Because that's mom life.
Yes.
Hashtag entrepreneurial woman.
Hashtag mompreneur. There we go.
There you go.
Yeah. So I did struggle with postpartum depression. And I did not have an easy time with breastfeeding. I mean, you name it, like trying to still be like my husband, you know,
all the things.
Be the wife, be the mom, try to take care of a house. And anyway, so I just knew like I couldn't keep going and I couldn't serve clients the way I wanted to. And so
and that's the balance that typically women, because we are still generally in the role of team mom,
right,
team home mom,
right, exactly.
So there's a balance.
It is, and you know,
and it's not easy.
It's not, and you know, I this is the role I'm obviously supposed to be in. Like I just maybe one day my husband will stay home. He says he wants to one day. I don't know about that, but
Make that a goal.
Yeah.
Write that down.
I'll be the breadwinner and then you can come in and take care of the kids. But no, it was just one of those things where I knew my ego and my pride was just like fighting me on this because I was so scared of all the people who would see that and see, oh yeah, she couldn't do it. She couldn't hang. And that was honestly what was keeping me from kind of saying pause. And then finally I just had to surrender. And I didn't say when I was coming back. I just said, I'm taking a break for a while. And that was in October of 2018. And finally, I think February of 2019, I has kind of gotten my stuff together, realized I was not cut out to stay home full time with her, got her a Mother's Day out. Oh, thank goodness for Mother's Day out. Oh, God, love our teachers. We've had the most incredible teachers. And then I slowly started getting back into work, but I had to transition from, I knew I couldn't do full-time social media management. It's a lot. I mean, it is a lot to do well for a business. And so I decided to go more into the coaching and consulting role because I knew I could help more people and it would be a better fit for my schedule. So that was kind of the pivot I took post baby. It was the best decision I could have made, honestly.
I mean, you're gifted with this child.
Yes.
And you want to be there every moment. And then you realize, and I think this is where most women that are listening right now, there are some women that are truly, they want to be at home
and they are cut out for that.
They are amazing at what they do.
Yes.
That is their calling. And it's not just their kids they're helping. They're usually helping community children as well.
Right.
That is what they're meant to do.
Right.
However, I'm another mom who, event planner, floral designer, didn't know I had an entrepreneurial spirit.
Right.
Not a bone in my body did I know. But when you move all the time, I've had to take on social media, which is, we have lots to talk about on that. Maybe I'll be your next client.
Yeah.
It's not my forte. I like connecting one-on-one. So all those little things kind of combine, that sets your stage, I feel like, when you start your business.
Yes.
Maybe you're looking for all online. Good for you. I blame it on the military lifestyle though, because the only way I feel like I connect into the community is what we did the other night.
Right.
Where we had girls' night and wine and talk. Yeah. And that was incredible. And I met a ton of friends from that.
Yes. And I mean, honestly, because you're coming into like a new environment, new place, new people, that's totally understandable. You know, I'm from Montgomery. So like,
in order to branch out and not move, you needed that world.
Yes. And so like, and honestly, like the online presence has been great. It's so weird because like I have connected to more people through Instagram, like locally, than I have in any other capacity. But then there was something about, because so many of us knew each other through Instagram, but like had we seen each other in the street, we might have recognized each other's faces, but we wouldn't have known each other's names unless we were like, hey, I'm Elizabeth Ellen Digital. you know, like, and I can't tell you how many people have thought my last name was digital. Like,
I did go look it up.
I know.
I mean, you told me, but I was like, I don't think I spelled that right.
That's okay. It's all good. I mean, I get it. I totally get it. But I mean, it was just like, it's just that mixture of like Instagram is, and this is why I love Instagram, is because it is such a great way to connect. However, we are still built for human interaction.
So what does Instagram or social in general bring to the business? Like if you were saying you really need to do this, what are some of your big talking points? Like, what are those big things?
So I'm pro Instagram over Facebook because Facebook is a very complicated facet. You've got privacy settings. So like, you know, with a personal account and a business account, it's just very complicated to me. Now Facebook groups, I'm pro for that, but that's a whole nother story. The reason I love Instagram is you're either private or you're public, private or public. And if you're a business, you're public. And like people, businesses or individuals can interact with you. And you are your business. I mean, for the most part, depending on, this is kind of coming from the single entrepreneur type thing. Now, if you're a brick and mortar or you have a team, you also have that ability, but this is a way to humanize your brand. And it's a way like that is what people like. It moves away from the traditional advertising of like commercials of, you know, that this is a way to literally become human and interact with people that you probably would have never come in contact with before. And that's what I tell you, like the reach you have with Instagram is incredible. I know we had mutual connections, but like we connected through Instagram. I have a girl out of Atlanta. I've never met her personally, but we interviewed for her podcast last week. Still never met in person, but it just opens the doors to reach people that you never thought that you would have never done so without social media. And that's why I am an advocate for it, because there was a lot of negative for it, but like we could use it for good.
So let's give some numbers here. So you talked about the nonprofit at the very beginning. Did they have an advertising budget?
No. I mean, we were like, when I was there, it was a very small nonprofit. Okay. It's since grown so
let's throw out a number then.
Okay.
Old school advertising marketing. How much are we looking at spending on magazines, newspapers?
Oh gosh, you're looking at, I remember talking with some local TV stations, and I mean, you're looking at thousands. And magazine ads, hundreds, like 500 for maybe a half quarter.
Our Pike Road magazine that we were on the front of the cover, to get a quarter. I believe this is right. I probably shouldn't throw this number out there, but we were closer to 1,000.
Yeah.
And that was for a year.
Yeah.
And they would put your information on Facebook on their page there. And then the people you'd be seeing in this publication. So if you were a small entrepreneurial business, do I have $1,000 really to put on a single place ad? The answer is no.
My personal opinion is no. Like, to me, those types of advertisements are geared more towards your bigger businesses who have advertising budgets, who have that extra money to put into the community and put into local, magazines and newspapers. But for a, solo entrepreneur or very small business, it's not tailored for that. I haven't a whole other opinion about how the magazine industry should be doing social media, but I will digress on that.
So we know that advertising can be super expensive. It might not actually reach who we're trying to reach because you don't get to zone in on age groups, genders, areas, but social media, it does.
It does. And the hard thing though, is it is such a different world than traditional advertising. So somebody who's maybe been in a traditional advertising or marketing place does not automatically mean it's going to translate. Like what they did there is going to translate onto Instagram. In fact, it's the polar opposite. Like I tell people, like, we don't do ads. Like you cannot put an ad that you put in a magazine or paper. You can't put that on Instagram, and really not even Facebook. It does not translate well because people originally got on social media to
get away.
Like it's social and it's about humans, like connecting humans. That's the whole point. Like everything, like the algorithm does is trying to keep people honestly on there to see what they like are interested in seeing. And most of the time it's humans. I mean, like now beautiful pictures, of course, on Instagram, like that helps. But people, I think right now, especially are looking for real. They're looking for authentic. They're tired of just like these perfect, like curated things. And so like to adapt to that, you've got to learn how to show that.
Which is an art, because before I started talking to the girl that I use for my graphic design things, which is a whole nother topic.
Oh gosh, yes.
Facebook says you can only have like 7 words or something ridiculous on your photo, or they will throw it out. So that's something that I didn't know. So that was the whole part of the, you can't traditionally advertise here.
And I mean, I think they did that so it couldn't be treated like that. So I get it from their perspective.
So if you're growing, let's throw out this last little tidbit here. If you are growing your Instagram following, it's all about humanization. How in the world and how long does that take?
Oh, girl.
Let's just be very honest about it. Because
I mean,
are you an overnight success?
Oh no. So this is I need to do a post about this because there's literally there's phases. So when you first start, you immediately get your friends and family who are going to like and follow. But let's be honest, they don't care about what you're doing. They're doing it to support and like you. So you're not going to get a ton of engagement because these aren't your target. Most of them are not going to be your target audience. So like that phase, I mean, I swear to you, like when it was probably that first year. Well, I'll be very honest. I didn't post consistently my first year of business. And that was my job, but I was so clueless about how to market my own self that I just would go 3 months without posting. And then I'd randomly throw this out and randomly throw that out. So, I mean, it took a good, what was that? Okay. I started back February 2019. I kind of make that my benchmark of where everything kind of went up with, especially how to market myself. I mean, right now I'm still under 2,000. I'm at 1,600 followers. And for some people that's super high and for some people that's super low. But like this has taken me, I mean, I started my business in June 2017 and I'm at,
but you're growing organically.
I don't do any paid advertisement. Now that's something eventually I will look into, but right now it's just not what I need.
It's not actually, Instagram does not seem to do well with the paid.
Facebook,
yes, you can get paid likes.
Oh yeah.
But Instagram, it's
a different beast. Like it's a whole nother beast with how you go about doing that. And so honestly, like it's a slow process. Like you go from that phase 1, friends and family, then the more you figure out who you want to work with or who you want to target, you start following those people. And then when you start aligning that message with like who you want to work with, that's slowly when you're going to gain those followers who are interested in what you're doing and then lose the people who are not interested. So it's a constant attract, repel. Like that's what I tell everybody. If you're attracting specific people, you're repelling specific people as well. So don't look at you have insights on Instagram. Don't get distracted by your unfollows. You just want to say, thank you. Thank you for unfollowing me because you weren't who I wanted to work with to begin with. I mean, to be very honest, like a lot of times when I do something with a faith-based message, I'm going to lose followers because people aren't interested in that aspect of how I coach and how I, do my job. But then the people who are the ones that are following me. And those are the ones who are potentially going to be my clients or supporters or something along those lines. Sorry, I could go I get fiery about this.
Okay. If we're going to leave people with a few tips they're just brand new on Instagram into the like growing their being human. What are some tips that you might leave, like consistency or, that type of basic?
So, okay. Tip number one, and this is one I'd say with all my new clients, you've got to find a rhythm, amount of posts that doesn't overwhelm you. Because if I tell you, you have to post 6 days a week, like just post, and then you've got to do stories every day, you're going to be so overwhelmed that more than likely, you're just not going to do it. That's just typical human nature. But if I tell you, okay, I need you to do 2 to 3 posts per week. And then on the days, either you post or you don't post, do a few stories. Okay. That can sometimes feel more doable,
manageable.
And especially with people who are moms, they're running their business. They've got that whole, like, I don't like the message of that you have to be posting every day. So that's always a big one, is figure out what, say the number, 2 posts per week, 3 posts per week. How does that make you feel? And then I do recommend getting on stories. Number 2, I recommend showing your face on stories and talking to the camera.
Okay. So stories, are they, for me, I go back to cocktails, to food, to flowers, to some ridiculous, maybe unmakeup face, Amber.
Yeah.
Are those all appropriate for my brand of floral design, hospitality?
Yeah. Well, see, stories to me are where you can kind of
show them your day to day.
Yes. Okay. I say so the way I explain it, or posts are going to be a little bit more polished, a little bit more put a little bit more effort in your captions to engage people. Stories, you can kind of let your hair down. It doesn't have to be as coiffed. You can show real life. You can show the aspects. But to me, the stories are what can make you connect with people the most, because you're like, if you're talking to the camera, people are able to kind of hear you. They see you, they see your personality, they kind of see your real life, or the behind the scenes, the messy,
can't open darn champagne.
Yeah. Like, I'm going to share all that. I haven't done this just time's sake, but I'm going to show all this, that this is kind of how we go about. This is how I roll. Now, are you for everybody? No, but you're for somebody. And that's why, like, to me, stories are so important, because it does allow you to kind of just be more, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? It's just more behind the scenes, a lot more casual. So that's what I believe in for stories. And then the third that I think people miss the most is engagement. So a lot of times people, yeah, cheers to that. So people, of course, we all want people to comment and like and share and save. And we have to be doing that to other people. So it's the, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours type thing, which
is why the women's group was so
important. So like getting outside of and I call it like getting outside of your little Instagram bubble. Like, for me, I love to comment and support other local businesses here and like around the river region, or even someplace like outside of the river region that I believe in, that align with kind of my mission, my goals, or, just believing in them. Also to do that with like humans, people who I think would be ideal clients. I'm not going to lie. Like I comment, I try to encourage, I try to share, any type of information I can do to help them. And then, don't be afraid to DM, like, simply
don't be afraid to message folks.
Yeah. And I'm not saying like, oh, here, I want you to come work with me. Like, I literally, like, one day, and this just goes to show you, I saw this girl and what she's doing, had no thought of her being a client. I just saw what she was sharing, and I just was like, oh my gosh, like, I love what you're doing. Like, this is so needed. And it was a genuine comment. And she said, oh my gosh, like, thank you so much. By the way, I need to talk to you about my marketing. And I was like, oh, well, of course. But it was just one of those things that reminded me, like, we forget, like, we're not top of mind for everybody, so simply just keeping that engagement and like that relationship, like, you're going to become known for XYZ. That's where, like, the more you talk about a topic, or, your mission or whatever that is, people are going to start to think of you like, oh, that's the that's the flower lady,
That's the Biltmore
that's the
girl.
Biltmore girl. And so for me, like, people might not know exactly what I do, but they're like, oh yeah, I need to talk to you about Instagram. Now, some people think I do websites, and I don't, but at least it's in the realm of technology, I
Right.
guess, digital. But that's where you have to remember to get outside your bubble. And so I tell people, take 20 minutes a day.
There you go.
Take 20
And
minutes.
be focused 20.
Yeah. And don't do it 7 days a week. Just do it like, if you can do 4 days a week, set your timer, 20 minutes. All you're doing is responding to like, if people comment on your post, respond to them. Find people to comment on their posts. Find people to just to respond to a DM, or vote in their polls. Or
do you do the whole look them up by hashtags? Like, maybe you...
Not typically. A lot of times because with my niche, like, if I'm going to like search Instagram strategist, it's typically going to be other Instagram strategists. So it's like, I just kind of find businesses and individuals through mutual connections. Sometimes I'll go through people's followers, like She Works His Way. It's a Christian ministry for women in business. And I just go through and follow some of the people, just who it might be, somebody I'd like to work with. Does it always result in something? No, but it's just another way to possibly connect.
It's literally, advertising is not the right word, but marketing, it's
exposure, it's awareness.
Exposure.
It's exposure. And I mean, like, now, do you have to typically pay somebody either like to do it for you or to learn how? Yes, but like, the long term, like, it saves so much money either to learn it yourself,
and that is a whole nother...
It's a beast. It is. And I mean, I know that, and I'm very aware, like, Instagram is a beast if you're not familiar with it.
And you could get into Reels, which I've just tried to...
if somebody's new to the Instagram world, I usually don't even try with Reels, because just the initial Instagram post stories are very overwhelming.
Do you know, it took me 2 weeks to work up the courage to do a really bad reel, and by golly, it is still up.
Good. Do not take it down.
The words are like cut off at the top a little bit. And you know what? I said, no, people need to see.
They need to see this.
Sometimes people are like, you come across so perfect, y'all. No, clearly we're...
No, go look at first of all, if you get really bored, just go look at the beginning of my feed. Like, if you want to scroll all the way back, you'll get a good, like, oh, she did start from Clueless. My first reel, I don't even remember my first reel, but I was nervous to do it, because I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to be the Instagram expert, and I don't even know how to do this. But it was all like, I've got to do it in order to learn.
One step.
Do it. And I mean, I'm still like, there's some people out there who are just so incredible at it. But it's just like, I've got to do what's right for me. And half the time I just like to be goofy. I'll be very honest. Like, this is kind of like, I don't mind the spotlight. And I feel like it's almost like my karaoke moment, where the spotlight's on me and you don't really take me seriously, but you can still have fun doing it.
You're relatable. Absolutely. Okay.
I know I'm rambling. Sorry.
No. Where do we find you? And are you accepting new clients?
I'm so glad you asked. You can find me on Instagram, and it's at Elizabeth Ellen Digital.
I will post that.
Okay. Yeah, I know it's a lot. I promise I think I'm eventually going to drop digital, because it's just a lot. But I've got a website, ElizabethEllenDigital.com. Yes. And then, gosh, what else? Oh, am I taking new clients? Yes, I currently have 3 options, and there is I've actually just made it a 2-hour intensive. So I've got a 2-hour intensive, and it's really good to help with like a strategy, kind of focus, like, and kind of getting you somebody that feels overwhelmed and unclear, just kind of needs that help with how to plan their content and
finding
how
the clarity in the moment.
Yes, that's a great one for that. And then I've got something called a VIP day, which this is the one I'm so excited about. It's a new offer, but it's preferably, no, it's not preferably, it's got to be in person. It's an in-person, it's about 4 to 6 hours of like
That sounds amazing.
intent. And so like we've talked about, I love to
Yes.
create an experience. So, you know, we get a really cute place, we get coffee, we get lunch, we celebrate with wine at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
But we actually get work done. And it's really tailored for kind of whatever that client needs, but mainly a lot of it's helping map out.
It sounds like you come in very unsure, not knowing. In the middle of the day, you connect, you're rolling with it. At the end of the day, it's like cheers.
Yes.
To big successes.
Yes.
Yes. I love that.
So the whole point is taking somebody to like who feels overwhelmed, unclear, and it kind of brings them like, I always ask, what does the client want to feel at the end of the day? Not just what they want to get accomplished, but how do they want to walk away feeling? And it's typically peace. It's usually wanting to be prepared, organized, and have some type of clear vision of where to take, like, or how to communicate what they do. So that's the VIP day. And then I have a 90-day coaching option, which is a kind of, I call it for my Instagram novice. So that's for the person who really has no clue about Instagram. And we kind of walk them each month through, you know, phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3 to get them trained on even just how to use the app Instagram, teaching them how to do their, like, plan their content and then be able to do captions, stories, all that on their own by the time we're done at the end of those 90 days. So yes.
I think you covered it all.
Yes.
No, that's incredible.
Yes. So those are my options.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. I enjoyed it. Yes.
We'll have to pick another topic.
Yes.
And go again.
Yes. I'm down. Like talking. If this could be my zone of genius, I think this is my zone of genius. I think talking could that be a zone of genius? Talking?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And if you put two of us together, oh my gosh, who knows what you're going to find out.
This huge bubble of genius.
That's right. Huge bubble. All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. And we will see you. And thank you again.
Thank you. I love this.
So
anytime. Yes.
All right, guys. We'll see you later.
All right. Bye.
Bye.